In the shadowed annals of history, where the flames of revolution forge empires from the ashes of tyranny, emerges the figure of Napoleon Bonaparte, a Corsican son whose iron will would reshape the world with unyielding force and strategic brilliance. Born on August 15, 1769, in the sun-baked town of Ajaccio, amid the rugged, olive-strewn hills of Corsica, Napoleon entered a realm freshly wrested by France from the grip of Genoa just a year prior. The island's wild terrain, with its jagged mountains and defiant spirit, mirrored the boy's own fierce temperament. His father, Carlo Buonaparte, a shrewd lawyer of noble Italian descent, navigated the turbulent waters of island politics with cunning, securing French scholarships for his children by pledging allegiance to the new overlords while secretly harboring Corsican pride. Young Napoleon, with his piercing gaze and unyielding resolve, absorbed the island's ethos of rebellion, honing a mind as sharp as a bayonet in the face of adversity. From an early age, he devoured dusty tomes on ancient conquerors, Alexander the Great's lightning campaigns across Persia, Julius Caesar's brutal crossings of the Rubicon, dreaming of his own glory while his family balanced precarious loyalty to France. He practiced swordplay in hidden coves, imagining himself leading charges against invisible foes, his patriotic fire already burning hot against any who threatened his homeland. At the tender age of 9, Napoleon crossed the choppy Mediterranean Sea to mainland France, enrolling in the austere military school at Brienne-le-Château. There, amid a sea of mocking aristocratic peers who jeered his thick Corsican accent, modest stature, and provincial manners, he forged resilience like steel tempered in a relentless forge. Isolation became his ally. He buried himself in studies, mastering mathematics and artillery as if they were weapons in a personal war against ridicule. His calculations were precise, his strategies unerring, turning intellect into a cannonade that silenced doubters. Graduating early at 15, he advanced to the prestigious École Militaire in Paris, where he delved deeper into tactics of command, siege warfare, and the art of outmaneuvering superior forces. Yet, personal tempests raged fiercely. His father's untimely death in 1785 from stomach cancer plunged the Bonaparte family into dire poverty, forcing young Napoleon to shoulder immense burdens, sending remittances home while surviving on meager rations. This hardship ignited a ruthless determination to protect his kin and elevate Corsica, even as he grappled with the revolutionary ideals brewing in France's cafes and streets, clashing internally between island independence and the allure of a united, powerful republic. By 1789, as the Bastille's ancient walls crumbled under the fury of the mob and revolution erupted like a volcano across France, Napoleon seized the chaos as opportunity, returning to Corsica to ally with Pasquale Paoli's fervent independence movement. He rallied locals with impassioned speeches, organizing guerrilla drills in the Maquis scrublands, his benevolence shining in aiding impoverished families with smuggled supplies. But betrayal loomed like a storm cloud. Paoli's growing suspicions of Napoleon's lingering French ties erupted into open conflict, leading to the Bonapartes' harrowing exile in 1793. Fleeing across the Mediterranean under cover of night, evading Paoli's patrols in a desperate boat chase, Napoleon cast his lot irrevocably with the Jacobins in France. His benevolence toward the revolutionary cause masked a vicious resolve to crush any opposition that threatened progress. In the besieged port of Toulon, he orchestrated a masterful siege against entrenched Royalist and British forces, positioning artillery on high ground with deadly precision. His barrages shattered enemy lines in December 1793, shells exploding amid screams and smoke, driving the British fleet from the harbor in disarray. Promoted to brigadier general at the astonishing age of 24, he glimpsed the intoxicating allure of power, his patriotic zeal propelling him to defend France's nascent republic with unyielding ferocity, executing captured spies without hesitation to safeguard the revolution. As the guillotine's blade fell relentlessly across France during the Reign of Terror, claiming aristocrats and radicals alike in bloody spectacles, Napoleon navigated the Directory's swirling chaos with predatory cunning, his star ascending amid political tempests and factional betrayals. In 1795, when royalist insurgents stormed the streets of Paris in a frenzied uprising, Napoleon acted with ruthless speed, unleashing grape shot from cannons positioned with deadly precision on key boulevards. The whiff of grape shot mowed down the mob in a hail of iron, bodies piling in the gutters as the government was saved from collapse. This savage act, though staining the cobblestones red, earned him command of the Army of the Interior. Yet benevolence tempered his savagery. He reformed military logistics with iron discipline, ensuring soldiers received timely rations, fair pay, and medical care, fostering unbreakable loyalty in a fractured nation teetering on anarchy. His marriage to the captivating Josephine de Beauharnais in 1796 intertwined personal ambition with political alliance, her elegant salons buzzing with influential whispers that bolstered his meteoric rise, while he showered her with jewels plundered from campaigns, blending romance with calculated strategy. Appointed commander of the demoralized army of Italy in 1796, Napoleon transformed a ragged, starving force of 30,000 into an unstoppable juggernaut through sheer will and innovation. Crossing the treacherous Alps like Hannibal reborn, his men endured blizzards and avalanches, hauling cannons over icy passes with ropes and grit. He struck at Austrian and Sardinian armies with lightning speed, dividing their forces through feints and rapid marches. At the Battle of Lodi, his troops charged across a narrow bridge under withering musket fire and grape shot. Napoleon himself directing the assault from the front lines, sword in hand, his patriotic cries igniting valor amid the chaos of exploding shells and falling comrades. Victories cascaded like dominoes. At Castiglione, he outflanked bewildered Austrians in a swirling melee of bayonet charges. At Arcole, he personally seized a flag and led a desperate advance across a contested bridge, bullets whizzing past as he rallied faltering lines. At Rivoli, his forces enveloped the enemy in a pincer movement, artillery pounding from heights as cavalry sabered fleeing troops. Each battle was a masterpiece of maneuver, where he divided and conquered with vicious efficiency, executing deserters to maintain discipline while rewarding bravery with promotions. By 1797, the Treaty of Campo Formio humbled Austria, ceding vast territories to France, Napoleon's benevolence evident in sparing civilian lives amid the rubble, negotiating fair terms for surrendered garrisons, and establishing puppet republics that promised Enlightenment reforms. Returning to Paris, a triumphant hero, greeted by adoring crowds lining the Seine, Napoleon eyed greater horizons, his razor-sharp intellect plotting amid whispers of conspiracy and court intrigue. The Directory, rotten with corruption and fiscal mismanagement, teetered on the brink. Napoleon positioned himself as the patriotic savior, secretly forging alliances with disillusioned generals. In 1798, he proposed the audacious invasion of Egypt to sever Britain's vital trade routes to India, a bold stroke blending fervent patriotism with an imperial vision of spreading French ideals. Sailing with a fleet of scholars, artists, and 40,000 battle-hardened soldiers, he landed amid the scorching desert sands near Alexandria, crushing Mamluk cavalry in a whirlwind of saber clashes and volley fire at the Battle of the Pyramids. "Soldiers, 40 centuries look down upon you," he proclaimed from atop a dune. His ruthless tactics, coordinated bayonet charges and devastating artillery volleys, securing Cairo in a storm of dust and blood. Yet naval disaster struck at Aboukir Bay, where Admiral Nelson's British fleet annihilated the anchored French ships in a nighttime inferno of cannon broadsides and exploding magazines, isolating Napoleon's army and testing his indomitable resolve amid supply shortages and rising mutinies. Stranded in the unforgiving Egyptian expanse, Napoleon waged a grueling campaign of attrition, storming the fortified walls of Jaffa with ferocious assaults, scaling ladders under arrow storms and boiling oil. In a display of vicious necessity to quell fanatical resistance, he ordered the execution of thousands of prisoners on the beaches, a grim spectacle that broke enemy morale but haunted his conscience. Advancing to the impregnable fortress of Acre, he besieged Ottoman forces with relentless bombardments and sapping tunnels. But plague ravaged his ranks, and British naval aid under Sidney Smith repelled wave after wave of attacks in brutal hand-to-hand combat atop the ramparts, marking a rare and bitter setback. Undeterred, he rallied his depleted forces to crush a massive Turkish relief army at Abu Qir, his cavalry thundering across sands in a saber-wielding rout that left fields of corpses baking under the sun. His benevolence shone through even in conquest as he established hospitals for the wounded of both sides, promoted groundbreaking scientific exploration with the Rosetta Stone's discovery, and introduced printing presses to spread knowledge. Secretly abandoning his troops in 1799 under the cover of a loyal cadre, he raced back to France aboard a swift frigate, dodging British patrols in daring nighttime sails where news of the Directory's abject failures, military defeats, and economic collapse fueled his patriotic return. The Egyptian venture, though a strategic loss with heavy casualties, burnished his legend as an enlightened conqueror who blended ruthless warfare with cultural advancement. Upon landing on French soil, Napoleon plunged headlong into the coup of 18 Brumaire, November 1799, a whirlwind of calculated treachery and bold action. Aligning with scheming director Emmanuel Sieyès and troops loyal to his banner, he dissolved the corrupt Directory in a dramatic confrontation at the Council of 500, where bayonets clashed with rhetoric amid flying chairs and drawn daggers. Installing himself as first consul in a new consulate, he ruthlessly purged political opponents through arrests and exiles, centralizing power in his hands with an iron grip. Yet benevolence flowed in his sweeping reforms, founding the Bank of France to stabilize the chaotic currency and curb inflation, negotiating the Concordat with Pope Pius VII to reconcile the fractured church and state, ending years of religious persecution. Crossing the Alps once more in 1800 with a reinforced army, he ambushed the unsuspecting Austrians at Marengo in a desperate clash, turning near defeat into triumph when General Desais's timely counterattack smashed through enemy lines in a frenzy of musket volleys and cavalry charges, sealing the Second Coalition's doom. The Peace of Luneville affirmed French dominance across Europe, with Napoleon generously granting amnesties to émigrés and fostering economic recovery. Proclaimed consul for life by plebiscite in 1802, Napoleon's patriotic reforms remade France from the ground up. The Napoleonic Civil Code enshrined legal equality, abolishing feudal privileges and promoting meritocracy that elevated the humble through education and opportunity. He established lycées for secondary education, ensuring bright minds from all classes could rise, while suppressing dissent with a network of spies. Yet external threats loomed large. Britain's resumption of war in 1803 prompted invasion preparations, his grand army of 200,000 drilling relentlessly at Boulogne camps, constructing flotillas for a channel crossing amid stormy seas and British blockades. Crowned Emperor Napoleon I in a lavish ceremony at Notre Dame in 1804, he seized the crown from the Pope's hands and placed it upon his own head, symbolizing self-made sovereignty, unbound by divine right. Vicious plots, like the royalist Cadoudal conspiracy involving hidden bombs and assassins, were crushed with swift executions in public spectacles, deterring further treason. But his benevolence extended to grand public works. Canals like the Saint-Quentin, linking rivers for trade, roads paved across the empire to bind the nation, and the Arc de Triomphe, begun as a monument to his soldiers' valor. The Third Coalition ignited in 1805, pitting Napoleon against a formidable alliance of Austria, Russia, and Britain financed by British gold, marching his 200,000-strong Grande Armée across Europe in a blistering campaign covering 500 miles in weeks through forced marches and foraging. He captured the Austrian fortress of Ulm in a masterful encirclement, enveloping General Mack's 70,000-man army without a pitched battle, forcing mass surrender amid encircled camps. Vienna fell in a triumphant entry, its palaces looted for spoils. But the climactic Battle of Austerlitz, the Battle of the Three Emperors, unfolded on December 2nd, where Napoleon lured the Allied forces into a deadly trap on the Pratzen Heights. Feigning weakness on his right flank, his forces shattered the enemy center in a coordinated assault, artillery pounding from fog-shrouded hills as infantry charged through sleet, drowning retreating Russians on the frozen Sachin lakes in a vicious rout that claimed over 20,000 enemy lives. The son of Austerlitz rose on his tactical genius, the Treaty of Pressburg dissolving the millennium-old Holy Roman Empire, with Napoleon benevolently forging client states from defeated foes, installing relatives as kings while promoting legal reforms in conquered lands. Prussia, arrogant and underestimating the emperor, declared war in 1806, mobilizing its vaunted army. Blitzing through Saxony like a thunderbolt, Napoleon annihilated Prussian forces at the twin battles of Jena and Auerstedt, his corps converging in a pincer of artillery barrages and infantry assaults that left battlefields strewn with 25,000 Prussian dead and wounded. Berlin was occupied in humiliation, the Brandenburg Gate witnessing French parades as he pursued the remnants eastward to Friedland in 1807. There, vicious cavalry charges led by Marshal Murat and massed artillery barrages slaughtered Russian divisions in a day-long carnage along the Alle River, forcing Tsar Alexander I to sue for peace at the raft-borne Treaty of Tilsit. Benevolent in victory, Napoleon forged an alliance with Russia, redrawing Europe's map with generous territorial concessions, though his continental system, blockading British trade ports, sowed seeds of economic resentment and smuggling networks across the continent. Spain erupted into chaos in 1808, the Peninsular War becoming a brutal quagmire of guerrilla savagery that bled France dry. Deposing the inept Bourbon King Charles IV in a palace coup orchestrated through intrigue, Napoleon installed his brother Joseph as monarch, igniting Iberian fury with uprisings in Madrid, where mobs lynched French collaborators. At Belen, French forces under General Dupont suffered a humiliating defeat and surrender, the first major loss in years, as Spanish regulars and peasants ambushed columns in mountain passes. Ruthless reprisals followed, prolonged sieges of Zaragoza, where defiant civilians fought house to house with knives and boiling oil, enduring bombardments that reduced the city to rubble. British intervention under the Duke of Wellington escalated the conflict, draining French blood in attritional warfare through scorched earth retreats and hit-and-run ambushes. Victories like Ocaña in 1809, where Marshal Soult's bayonet charges routed Spanish armies, contrasted with devastating losses at Vitoria in 1813, where Wellington's Allied forces shattered French lines in a day of cannon fire and cavalry pursuits, forcing Napoleon's benevolence to strain as he funneled precious resources and reinforcements to defend France's imperial honor amid mounting desertions. Austria rejoined the fray in 1809 as the Fifth Coalition, seeking revenge. At Aspern-Essling, Archduke Charles checked Napoleon's advance across the Danube in ferocious river crossings, inflicting heavy casualties with enfilading fire and counterattacks, the emperor's first personal battlefield defeat, with bodies choking the waters. Yet, regrouping with reinforcements, at Wagram he massed unprecedented artillery, over 500 guns, and launched infantry assaults that crushed Austrian lines in a two-day bloodbath of 80,000 casualties, securing the peace of Schönbrunn. Patriotic reforms continued unabated, founding the University of France to centralize higher learning, promoting merit-based scholarships that elevated talented youths from obscurity while suppressing noble unrest with exile decrees. Russia's defection from the continental system, trading openly with Britain, provoked the fateful invasion of 1812. Assembling the colossal Grande Armée of 600,000 multinational troops, the largest force in history, Napoleon crossed the Niemen River in a patriotic crusade against perceived betrayal, his columns stretching for miles. Victories at Smolensk came at vicious cost, with street fighting amid burning buildings and bayonet charges claiming thousands as Russian scorched earth tactics denied supplies and torched villages. The apocalyptic Battle of Borodino, the bloodiest single day in history, unfolded with relentless artillery duels and mass charges across corpse-littered fields, claiming 70,000 lives as Napoleon seized a Pyrrhic entry into Moscow. But triumphant occupation turned to horror when mysterious fires razed the wooden city, flames engulfing cathedrals and palaces. Winter descended like a ruthless foe, the retreat becoming a nightmare of Cossack raids harrying flanks, blizzards freezing men in their tracks, and starvation decimating ranks. Benevolent to the core, Napoleon shared meager rations and hardships with his guards, personally aiding frostbitten soldiers. But only 40,000 staggered back across the Berezina River in desperate pontoon crossings under fire, a catastrophic loss that shattered his aura of invincibility and emboldened Europe's monarchs. The Sixth Coalition coalesced in 1813, with Prussia and Austria striking while France reeled. At Lutzen and Bautzen, Napoleon repelled Allied attacks with brilliant maneuvers, his young conscripts charging through smoke and grapeshot to hold lines. But the massive Battle of Leipzig, the Battle of Nations, saw overwhelming Allied forces of 300,000 encircle his 195,000 men in a three-day maelstrom. Vicious street fighting erupted in the city, with houses becoming fortresses amid bayonet thrusts and cannon blasts. A premature bridge explosion drowned retreating troops in the Elster River. Defeat forced a harrowing retreat westward, losses mounting from disease and desertion. In the 1814 campaign of France, Napoleon waged a virtuoso defense. In 6 blistering days, victories like Champaubert saw him rout isolated Russian corps with lightning strikes and ambushes, his cavalry sabering stragglers in snowy pursuits. Yet, inexorable Allied advances led to Paris's fall, with Cossacks riding through the Champs-Élysées. Dictated abdication by the victors, he was exiled to the Mediterranean Isle of Elba, his patriotic spirit unbroken, plodding amid volcanic landscapes. From Elba's rocky shores in February 1815, Napoleon escaped in a daring nighttime sail with 1,000 loyalists, landing on French soil to reclaim his destiny. Marching north along the route Napoleon, entire regiments defected en masse to his banner, swelling his forces in a triumphant wave. Louis XVIII fled in panic, and the 100 Days ignited with Napoleon reforming the government in benevolent haste, abolishing feudal dues, granting press freedoms, and rallying the nation with promises of glory. The Seventh Coalition mobilized swiftly. At Waterloo on June 18, 1815, his 72,000 men clashed with Wellington's 68,000 Anglo-Dutch allies in a muddy quagmire. Ferocious assaults on fortified farmhouses like Hougoumont and La Haye-Sainte faltered amid withering volleys and countercharges, with Napoleon's Imperial Guard breaking for the first time. The timely arrival of Blücher's 50,000 Prussians sealed doom in a chaotic rout, cavalry pursuits cutting down fugitives. Routed and heartbroken, Napoleon abdicated once more, surrendering to British captivity aboard HMS Bellerophon. Confined to the windswept isolation of St. Helena in the South Atlantic from 1815, Napoleon dictated his memoirs to faithful aides, his undimmed intellect dissecting campaigns with razor precision. Ruthless in verbal debates with British captors, he exposed Allied betrayals and hypocrisies, while his benevolence extended to aiding fellow exiles with shared resources and legal advice. Death crept in on May 5, 1821, from debilitating stomach ailments, likely cancer exacerbated by arsenic-laden wallpaper. his final words evoking France and his army. His patriotic legacy endured profoundly. The civil code influencing laws worldwide, institutions like the Legion of Honor rewarding merit, and infrastructure forging modern Europe. Buried on the island until his remains were repatriated in 1840 amid national mourning, he now rests in Les Invalides in Paris, an eternal sentinel of glory, his ruthless conquests balanced by benevolent reforms that uplifted millions. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this and would like to see more, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit the bell so you are notified when a new video is dropped. Until next time, uncover the truth and question the past.